Welcome. Today I'm going to teach you a very important concept in programming called a function. A function lets you organize your code into small reusable chunks. So for example, if you had some kind of complex calculation, instead of rewriting it each time, you can just write it once and reuse it in your code. Let's get into it. Functions allow us to follow the dry software engineering concept, meaning do not repeat yourself. So if you have a bunch of code that keeps doing the same thing over and over again, it's probably better to put in a function. So as you can see here on the screen, we do have some kind of code that we're repeating, which can be isolated in the function. Let's start with a simple example. To create a function, you want to use the keyword function and give this function a unique name. In our case, it will be greetings. You want to use brackets to open and close the function. Whatever is inside the brackets is the code that we'll be reusing. Let's just copy the console log dash code we have here. So if we reload our page right now, nothing is happening here. Why is that? Because functions don't just magically get executed. We have to call them. In order to call a function, we have to write the name of the function and parentheses. So I made a mistake. Needs to be greetings. So we're using greetings call. What will happen is whenever we use the name of the function and parentheses, it will go into the block of the function, execute all the code there, and then come back. So let's refresh the page. And as you can see, we're printing out dashes from our function, then our main code. So remember, you need to use the keyword function and a unique name to define the function. We can also give the input to a function, which is called a parameter. So for example, to make this code even more dry, do not repeat yourself, we can do the following. We can copy one of the console's logs here. And parameter goes into parentheses. So in our case, it will be parameter name. And whatever the input we give to the function, we'll print it out. So what we can do now, let's set this also to the top. We can completely get rid of all this greetings calls all over the place, and instead when we call greetings, we also pass the name. And do the same thing with depth delight. So we're passing the input Alex. It will execute all the code inside the function greetings, and then we pass the input devdelight.com. So the name in the greetings is the parameter, and when you pass to the function the input, that's called passing an argument. So now if we refresh, we have the same output, but now look at how much less code there is. And that's the advantage of using functions and not repeating your code. Functions not only take input parameters, they can also return values. So for example, let's write a function sum that receives two parameters, A and B, and will return the result of adding these two numbers together. So now we can call this function and print out the result. So we'll pass 1 and 2. See, we're passing 1 and 2 into the sum. And then the function will return the result to the console log. Very fresh. We get 3. There's also another way to declare a function, which is called a function expression, when you assign a function to a variable. So now we can just call it the same way by calling the name of the variable and passing it some text. See what happens. Hasta la vista, baby. Even though I think this should be separated. Another part you need to know about functions is that functions can access the variables outside functions. So, for example, if we declared text here as baby, and we didn't have an input here, but we used the text anyway. Let me remove this. We're just calling this function. The function is able to access the variable that's outside, which is called the global variable. So if we refresh this page right here, the output will be still the same. However, our outside program cannot see the variables inside the function. So for example, let's say we have another version of this. Hasta la vista 2. And got text here, let's say Arnold. If we try to print out this text here, well, let's say this is text 2 because we already have text up there that's equal to baby. So if we try to print out text 2 outside this function, it would not work because the main scope outside the function does not see the variables inside the functions. So if we refresh, it will be uncaught reference error. Bonus tip: in JavaScript, functions are also objects. So for example, if we assign a property testing to this function, and then we did console log hasta la vista test, it would print it out. Undefined, because I didn't put 2 at the end of the function name. And let's print it out again. Testing. As you can see, it printed it out. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Click subscribe below, and I'll see you soon.